things then found themselves in the constitution. But remember, the 2010 constitution is not the bomber's constitution.
No, it isn't.
This is a politician's constitution, largely made in Naivasha. Particularly as regards devolution, particularly as regards the current structure of the presidency. We did not prescribe this because we were dealing with ethnicities. So we said, let us have a parliamentary system. Then the politicians, of course, for reasons that I'll not disclose here, but I know, somebody wanted to be president at that time and was persuaded by another group that if you want to be president, why do you want to be a weak president? Take this one. And they took it. The time now is to relook at those things. Remember our earlier conversation, we cannot run away from the fact that we are very ethnic. And we are ethnic, and some of this leadership is representational and feel good.
And that's why my question is,
yes,
when you were going around the country and listening to the people, were the people saying that I want my tribesman, I am electing my tribesman to go and bring me development, I want him or her to be in charge of the country,
to be in charge,
play
yes,
a role at national level?
Yes, and I remember in 1992 we were at the Bomas of Kenya, rather at Safari Park, and I asked this question, and Koigi Wamwere supported me. I said, we are pretending to have political parties. Why don't we just be honest? And we say, these are the Luhyas, these are the Kambas, these are the Kikuyus, and we find ourselves in Kenya, and therefore when we are constituting government, we cannot run away from the fact that representation is critical. And if we are that honest, we would possibly diffuse many of the tensions that you see. Because right now you find individuals or communities that think they are marginalized because their sons and daughters are not playing a role. The day their sons and daughters are seen to be occupying even a sinecure office, then they say, now we know. Now we can sleep hungry, but we are there. This is the reality of this country. Ethnicity is so firmly entrenched that unless you see one of your own at Jamhuri Park, say, now this thing is going on and our man is not even there.
But Professor, there is this, we got introduced to a concept in our electoral process, the tyranny of numbers.
Yeah.
But there's another tyranny that I think dominates our thinking. It's called the tyranny of habit. You see, if over the years, what we think as development or making our lives better simply has revolved around having one of your own in a position of authority, even when the county governments came into being with authority, with funding, somehow that seems to be ignored.
You are so right.
Because the very thing that people thought they would want, they actually have.
They actually have it.
One of your own in power with money to do the things that you have wanted them to do. But still, unless and until one sees one of their own in a position of authority at the national government, somehow it's like nothing has actually happened. And yet, the very thing you always wanted, you actually have. And then you see it even further. The moment you talk of CDF,
yes,
the moment you talk about all this, whether it's Gov Fund, all these funds, you're actually saying that the steps that you wished for have actually been actualized. They may not be perfect, but they exist. And so, because of this, we don't actually audit what these units could do, should do, must do. So it's like the counties and the leadership, until the Auditor General comes and flags things and tells us what's happening, they seem to be doing their own things, but not focusing on what...
In fact, stealing. In fact, what I think you said is so right. The problem in Kenya now is obsession with the presidency. That is the problem. It's not even national government. It's just obsession with the presidency. I've had people, even those who have gone to school from different... We just want our son to be president, even for 5 minutes. So it doesn't matter. We just want our... Until the day... And one of the things that we were talking about when we talked about the parliamentary system is to make the presidency unattractive. We even toyed with the idea of a titular presidency like that of India or that of Israel, so that the person who is in charge of daily government is the prime minister, active in parliament. And I think there is something that when we are talking about constitutional amendment is something that we must just bring on the table. So that what you are saying, if you look at the devolved units and look at the levels of theft and wastage, we don't care. The wastage that we are worried about and the theft that we are worried about is the theft at the center. And that is why some of us have always said money follows functions. The more you devolve the functions, whether it's health, whether it's education and agriculture, and you sensitize the people, that what will help you if you are in Nyanza or in Western Province or in Coast Province or Meru is what is being done on the ground. But we don't look at what is being done on the ground. Look at my own Aboriginal county, Siaya, where a seat is bought for 1 million, and people are not angry. People are not angry. He says it is one of our own who is stealing, therefore he is our thief. This is okay. The one we are worried about is the center. So you are so right, that is the tyranny of habit, as you put it so very right. And these are the things that call for serious education. And it's not this pro forma civic education where you call people at halls and you give them an allowance of 1,000 each, which is what they actually come for.
Yeah.
But something that is a lot more consistent, a lot more deliberate to liberate them from this tyranny of bad manners. It's just bad manners. And if we do that, then devolution will begin to make sense. If you go to countries where devolution is working, really the center doesn't even worry. If you go to Switzerland, you ask them the president, they don't know and they don't care because everything is happening around you. When I grew up here in Nairobi, and when Nairobi worked before the commissions were being appointed, we really had schools working, health systems working. I never came to town. Why was I coming to town? Everything worked, and that is what we needed. Today, the parliamentarian, everybody is on your face. When a road is being constructed, you see the image of a politician. It's as if it is their own money. I've ever wondered. We are personalizing things done through public funds. And this is the kind of governance that we must do away with. And when we come with this constitutional change, I hope that we will be involved in an intimate way.
You know, Professor, there's this little concept that can best be referred to as the psychological needs that people actually have. And from what you said, it outweighs any real needs they may have. If somebody would rather listen to a politician pontificating nonsense, and they prefer that to actually challenging the discussion on real progress and development for themselves, there is a satisfaction they seem to derive from participating and attending those meetings. Now, yes.
Yeah, I agree with you.
The psychological needs then points us to one simple fact that it outweighs any other need somebody may have. You'd rather go hungry. Your children may not even go to school. But for some reason, you feel that so long as you have participated or you've aligned yourself with this thing that represents a psychological need, let me give it context. You brought in the subject of marginalization.
Yes.
It is true. Because of our political configuration, there were regions and areas in this country that were neglected. But within that discussion comes in, when you talk about marginalization, what really are you talking about? At the dawn of independence, two communities dominated this politics, Luos and Kikuyus.
Correct.
They literally dominated it. So Jaramogi moves away. He's no longer in power. His people are no longer in positions of authority as they were. Now, at that point, have they started treating you like every other Kenyan, or are they marginalizing you? Moi comes into power, and the Kikuyu say, you know something, we're being marginalized. So, same question. Are you being treated like everybody else?
Or are you being normalized?
All right, yeah, you're just being normalized. Because what you're calling marginalization is what the rest of the Kenyans have been feeling all their lives. So, which is which? You're talking about marginalization, and yet you had roads, you had schools, and they are part of this country that had none.
Absolutely.
And still don't.
So, this yardstick for marginalization, okay. The committee and the group that you are party to and secretary to understood these things, so you bring devolution.
Absolutely.
We still have the same conversation.
You know, you are so right. As you talk, I hear you. That our problem is actually in the mind.
Yes.
And there is something that must be done, because this talk of marginalization, you hear it even from individuals who are themselves not marginalized, but they still are carrying this burden. So, as you rightly say, the whole idea of devolution and this the funds that we are created to deal with historical injustices was designed to address these issues.
Yes.
That you, Turkana, it is true that for a time you did not get the things you deserved. You, Aji, were in that position. So over and above the allocation that we get, we are giving you something additional. But what is it then that we must do? And in my view, it is the architecture of the Constitution, among other things, and as I've said, civic education that is going to ensure that this happens, so that you are participating in a meaningful way in all critical areas. And what are those critical areas? You are talking about your education. You are talking about health. You are talking about agriculture. You are talking about opportunities in government. You are talking about opportunities for invention and innovation, and that you are enabled in that regard. But and then certain symbolic things, symbolism in the sense that if there is appointment into public office for whatever it's worth, you want to see something that we call the face of the nation. That is critical. It may not mean much, but it's critical.
It is critical.
You really want to see that this is a multi-ethnic society, so that if you are doing appointment, I want to see a Kikuyu there, I want to see a Turkana there, I want to see a Taita there, I want to see a Taveta there, I want to see a Luo there, I want to see a Kalenjin there. But and you don't tell me that you are having the face of the nation, but when I read the Kenya Gazette, it tells me another story. So it creates resentment, even if you are doing the right thing. People don't bother about the right thing. They say, oh, they are doing the right thing. This is not our party, so we spoil it. If the party is not there and we are not invited, we are going to spoil that party so that the party does not go on.
Party doesn't go on.
And that is the attitude that is you now see in Kenya.
Right. Yeah.
Because we are not inside the party. This I hear some say, we are going to spoil it. We know it is nice. The music is nice. We would have loved it, but we want to be there. And this is what we must do. Is a simplistic analogy. Let everybody be part of the party. And this administration, in my view, must be given time to serve. But they must have proper communication. They are not communicating well. And that is part of the reason that you have, that when you are dealing with these young countries, we call them young democracies, words must be measured. Arrogance must be debunked. You must be clear in what you say, you must be consistent in what you say, and you must not gloat. You must not humiliate those who appear to be the vanquished. In fact, there must be no vanquished. And once that happens, you